With this workflow, you can build a full, investor-ready SWOT analysis report for you or your clients, regardless of whether you've been in business for years or are just starting out. Simply input your basic information into a spreadsheet, and the workflow automatically identifies your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and turns those into a fully formatted PDF report that you can send to anyone. All right, and you see that the SWOT analysis got emailed to me. It gives me a PDF report. Go ahead and click into it. It has a cover page with the name of the client on it, has a table of contents that lists out exactly what their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats are, as well as an introduction and a conclusion. And you'll see this is a fully fleshed out report. Like, this is exactly what I would want to see if I was going to be taking this to an investor or if I was providing this to a client. And as always, you can download this N8N workflow for free from my free school community, where we give away over 25 different business-focused workflows for free, with new free workflows coming out every week, along with tutorial videos, how-to setup guides, and a community of automation-focused business owners, all looking to collaborate and grow their businesses with AI-powered automations. You can also join our advanced community for tech support assistance, marketing and business growth discussions, as well as getting to pick my brain on N8N, AI automation, or businesses in general. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the workflow. So we just ran it. We'll be able to see everything that it did. It starts with a click test workflow trigger. So anytime you're ready to run this thing, all you do is click the test workflow. It'll do it. Obviously, you can change that to maybe a schedule trigger, or I wouldn't necessarily turn it into like a Google Sheets trigger, even though we are using Google Sheets. Just because you don't want it to accidentally fire just as you're adding information. But I like the test workflow trigger just because I can make sure all the information's in my spreadsheet that we're gonna be working off of, and then I can run it whenever I need. So what we do is we pull information from a Google Sheets. Here we go. I'm pulling it from a document called SWOT analysis from a sheet called company info input. So I will give you the spreadsheet that you need, the spreadsheet template. And all you got to do is you fill in this information. And so we have basic business information here. This is the kind of stuff that I would need if I was working with a client and I was going to be generating their SWOT analysis for them. So obviously their name, the industry that they're in, the size of their business, the market region that they're operating in, what is their unique value proposition, what is the company overview, so just basic information, their customer base, who is it that they're targeting. I need to know what resources that they have, what do their financials look like. I need to know what their team is comprised of. If there's any weaknesses that they already know about, I'd like to know what kind of feedback they're getting from their customers. I also need to know what market trends are going on. Let's see, and okay. And market trends, I need to know their competitors. I need to know what's going on in the legal or regulatory environment that may be affecting them. Say they're a trash transportation company. Obviously, there's a lot of regulations applied to them. Or if they're a cosmetics company, there may be fewer regulations, but it depends on the product. What's going on there. Are there any tech developments that are coming up? Obviously, for a lot of businesses, AI is making a play now. We need to be aware of what tech developments are happening. If they're aware of any threats or any potential threats that might be there for their business coming up or into the future, or competitors, what are their short-term goals and what are their long-term goals? And then the other fields are what the bot will fill in itself. All right, and so what we'll see here is that the bot will create an introduction for us. It's going to create the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats section, as well as a table of contents, a conclusion, and then a stylized title page for the whole report, just as we saw in the PDF. All right, and so that's what the Google Sheets is pulling from. And obviously, real quick, the sections that you'd fill in the spreadsheet are the dark green sections. Leave the orange or yellow sections alone. That's what the bot fills in. All right, so what we do is we send it to this AI agent here. And here we see that it takes all of the company info, just like we saw in the spreadsheet. It outputs a list of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, exactly like we would hope to see. And here in our prompt, what we do is we don't have it actually analyze anything. It's not actually writing any part of the report. What it's doing is simply taking all of the information from our spreadsheet, and it's classifying that information into the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats in order to be able to pass it on to the next steps, which are a set of reasoning models that will then go ahead and actually write the report. All right, so here we have our 4 different sections. We have our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and our threats, and we are using a DeepSeek reasoning model for all 4 of them. And the reason being is it's just so inexpensive to use the DeepSeek reasoning model. We really want to put some thought into this. We don't want this to just write just real quick and be done and like, oh, okay, good. No, we want it to actually iterate over and consider each of the different aspects of what we've got going on, because we have so many different strengths. We have so many weaknesses, opportunities, and threats here. We want it to really consider each of them and write out something that's worth reading. All right, so let's just go ahead into this. And each of these is more or less the same. I've just replaced the word strengths for weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in each of them. So let's go ahead and go in here. We're going to go ahead and get all of that company information again from the spreadsheet, as well as all of the different outputs from the model before this here. So we have all these items for strengths, which it comes from the spreadsheet. It didn't generate anything new. It just identified what it considers as strengths in the previous node. And here in this one, it's just going to feed them back in to the DeepSeek model. And we say here, let's go ahead and turn that into an expression so I can open it. And it's a world-class business analyst. It's writing the strengths section of the SWOT analysis. It needs to write a fully developed multi-paragraph strengths section suitable for direct inclusion in a premium investor report. And it just needs to go through and really write this well. So for each section, interpret the strategic significance. It needs to connect each strength to a specific business advantage. It needs to go beyond first order effects and explain secondary and compounding impacts. That's important. You want to make sure you're not just saying, oh, we have this strength, this strength, this strength. But what does that mean? Why is that important? How does that actually help you as a business? Where does that go into the future? All right, and where appropriate, contrast with market alternatives or competitor weaknesses, include forward-looking implications. When using metrics, briefly compare to industry norms for context. That might be the only thing I'd be concerned about with this model at all, is that there's a chance that it might hallucinate. So always, always, always go back through and make sure you read this yourself to consider whether it got it right. All right, use fluent strategic language and maintain confident analytical tone, and include a synthesis paragraph, so a concluding paragraph. All right, and then we give it some things not to do. So don't just repeat things, don't overload it with raw data, never use generic statements, yada, yada. All right, and so what it does is it produces a big old section, which, let's see, I don't even think it's gonna show. Here we go. So it produces this big old section for our strength section. Wonderful. All right, and then we have the same thing happen over in the weaknesses as well. Bring that to expression so we can open it up. And so same thing, multi-paragraph weaknesses section, use strategically relevant section headings, explain why the weaknesses matter, identify any root causes, systemic implications or interactions with other areas, detail current or planned remediation effects. So how are you planning on fixing this? All right, make sure you include that in your spreadsheet. Detail current or got that. When appropriate, show how weaknesses may become a strength over time. Maintain a strategic tone and include that conclusion paragraph. All right, so we see it gives us a nice long weaknesses section as well. All right, here in opportunities, same deal. All right, here we have multi-paragraph opportunity section. Explain why opportunity exists. Show how it connects to the company's existing capabilities. Analyze the business impact, how it can improve revenue growth, margins, defensibility, retention, or market share. When relevant, describe compounding effects, how these opportunities may amplify one another or build on existing strengths. Highlight time horizons or entry points. So like, where should you consider doing this thing? When should you do it? All right, use strategic, fluent, optimistic language and include a final synthesis paragraph. And again, nice long section. All right, and then we have our threats analysis, which this is the same thing, same inputs, other than it has the threats section at the bottom. And then here we do the multi-paragraph threat section, organize it strategically, include, explain what the risk is and why it matters in strategic or operational terms, show why this risk is particularly relevant to the company's current stage or strategic or business model, explain what the company is doing to monitor, mitigate, or offset the risk. When relevant, identify any scenarios where the threat can become an advantage, maintain a calm, strategic, confident tone, and include the conclusion paragraph. All right. And so each of these then gets sent into a 4.1 nano model. And we'd have that model, not for its thinking or reasoning capabilities at all. This guy, all it does is turns it into, takes that paragraph or the section that the previous model wrote, the reasoning model wrote, and then it just writes it with HTML tags. So we see over here, we have our header tag, we have our paragraph tags, we got our line breaks, and we're doing that simply to be able to format the PDF at the end. So this guy here is instructed, let's see if I can get these. So we want to make sure, I want to show you where it says that it's supposed to not change this at all. All right. Let's see. So it reads the entire user input to identify the sections, basics, map the headings and the paragraphs without alteration. It's not supposed to change anything. It's just supposed to add in the HTML code. It breaks it into multi-paragraph blocks and formats accordingly. Sometimes the reasoning models will write big, long paragraphs. It might be better to break it up into smaller paragraphs and make it easier to read. And then if it doesn't have an intro or conclusion to the section, it is supposed to go ahead and write a very brief one really quick based on what it reads in there, all right? And so then it outputs it with the HTML structure, no editing or summarizing otherwise. And then with edge cases, it's supposed to handle loosely structured markdown by inferring headings where obvious. So over here in our strengths section, let's see, let me get a table. You see we have some asterisks. That might indicate that this needs to be bold. All right, and so here over, it makes it a heading 3. All right, so that it'll set it aside. That way it's obvious that this was meant to be a heading. Here we have some line breaks with some dashes, and then we have the bolding again for number 2. We find number 2 where we have some line breaks and our heading 3. All right, it's exactly what we were looking for. All right, and then that's all this guy's supposed to do. It's just supposed to rewrite it in HTML. It's not supposed to change anything from what the reasoning section did. And then all 4 of these are exactly the same. It's literally the exact same prompt in each of them. So they don't do anything different. It just takes these sections here, writes them in HTML, and then we come over here to these Google Sheets nodes where it uploads them to our spreadsheet. So again, we're in our SWOT analysis document. That's this guy over here in our company info input sheet, right? And then what it does is it matches based on the company name. And then it comes down here and we're going to input our strength section into the strength section, obviously. And then weaknesses gets put into weaknesses. See there, all right. And then same with opportunities and threats. All right, from there, we then merge it all together so that we have everything kind of flowing together once more. And we limit it to 1, just so we're running through one operation rather than having 4 things running every single time. We just limit it to 1. I guess you could use an aggregate node, but we're not actually using any of this data anymore from here. We're actually going to be pulling it from the spreadsheet from now on. And the reason for that is I just don't want to have to deal with trying to figure out, am I pulling from this particular node or that particular node? I don't want the computer to get confused at all. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and read directly from the sheet again. So we're pulling from our SWOT analysis document, from the sheet company info input. We're grabbing all of the information that's in there, and then we're going to go ahead and write an introduction. So actually first, before I do that, you'll see over here, we are running with a 4.1 mini model. And we're doing that because 4.1 mini is just as good as the 4.0 model, and it's a third of the price. It's much, much lower. So might as well use the best models available to us right now without having to worry about the cost. So here we are doing the right introduction. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our strength section, our weaknesses section, our opportunities section, our threats section, and then all the other information from the spreadsheet as well. And we're going to run it through this prompt here, and we're going to get ourselves an introduction for our report. All right, and so it calls it SWOT analysis. Sometimes it calls it introduction. It does seem to change the title from time to time. But what it does is it's a strategic introduction writer trained to compose full-page executive-level introductions for a SWOT analysis report. All right, what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to articulate why the SWOT analysis matters, provides industry and competitive context, anticipates themes in the sections that follow, positions the company's strategic trajectory, and highlights the value of the analysis for stakeholders. All right, and again, it is instructed to do it in HTML, and it's supposed to break it into multiple paragraphs. It's not supposed to do just a single introduction paragraph. We're looking for a full page, essentially executive summary of what this whole document is about. All right, so we're looking for about 4 to 6 paragraphs, approximately 1 page, and the tone is professional, strategic, and engaging. And we have our chain of thought, which is to understand all the information. It is supposed to review each SWOT section and scan for repeated themes or strategic tensions, break it down into the core strategic questions, goals, and challenges, analyze it by looking at to frame the SWOT as a tool for clarity, alignment, and prioritization. It's going to build that multi-paragraph report, and then if there's any edge cases, if any section is missing for some reason, it needs to adapt that intro to reflect a partial strategic snapshot, although you shouldn't have that problem. All right, I have that in there just in case for some reason you just don't have an idea what the threats are and you just don't include that information. It's going to try to figure out how to write this as if it didn't have it, and therefore it's able to write something based on what you gave it. All right. Then it outputs a fully formatted HTML intro that feels polished, executive ready, and logically structured. And then we give it some what not to do's. So don't give just a single paragraph. Don't summarize the individual sections. We want this to be a comprehensive recap. Don't copy text from the sections. It needs to be original. Never include non-HTML formatting or markdown. Do not include headings beyond the H2 SWOT analysis. I guess I did hard code that in. All right. Do not include company financials unless given, and avoid generic or empty corporate jargon. And we give it a few shot example here, or just a one shot example. Really, I only give it one. But we give it some information, give it some very, very basic information, and then just give it a nice feeling intro to work off of. And so it gives us our introduction there. All right, and then that gets uploaded into the spreadsheet. So again, SWOT analysis, company info input. And we come down to our introduction, and there it is. It's JSON.output. All right, so what we then do is once we have our introduction into our spreadsheet, we then want to write the conclusion. And any good writer knows that you are supposed to tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. Well, in order to make sure that that is, it's all connected properly, we want to make sure that the model that's going to be writing the conclusion has the introduction. So we're going to go ahead and pull that information from the spreadsheet again, all that information, including the introduction we just put in there, and we write the conclusion. So again, we give it all of the information from our spreadsheet. We come down here, and then we're going to write a conclusion. And the conclusion is basically the same as the introduction. It's going to synthesize the insights. It's going to highlight the strategic alignment. It's going to signal strategic priorities, focus areas, and future direction, and maintain executive tone once more. All right, it's pretty much just rewriting the introduction, but it's writing it as a conclusion this time. So again, we're going to understand, do the basics. We're going to break it down. We're going to analyze how the 4 domains interact in the context and the company strategy. We're going to build that conclusion. We're going to handle any edge cases just in case there's something missing or it's not as strong as it should be. And it's going to account for that. If your opportunity section is not too big or not too strong, it's going to point out that, hey, we need to find more opportunities in order to be able to grow this company. All right, and then it's going to provide that HTML section that provides closure, clarity, and strategic direction. And it's not supposed to just copy stuff. It needs to include a conclusion. It's not supposed to write just a single paragraph. Don't include financials or business metrics if they're not present. Never stray from what was actually given, and only include HTML formatting. So, and then finally, don't include generic language. It needs to be grounded in the analysis, in the themes of the actual SWOT. And then we give it an example. All right. And so we see that it comes out with a nice, nearly full page, if not longer, conclusion that really ties the whole thing together. Like the Big Lebowski, it ties the room together, so to speak. All right, and so we upload that conclusion to our spreadsheet. And then what we do is we're going to pull that whole spreadsheet again. All right, so once we have the conclusion uploaded, we have the introduction uploaded, we have all of our sections uploaded, we have all the company information uploaded. We're going to pull all that information from the spreadsheet once more. And then from that, we're going to write a table of contents. All right, so we take the introduction, the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and conclusion sections, because we don't need the company information anymore. We just need all of the information from the actual document that has been written. And we go ahead and write a table of contents. And so we see here that we give it some styling to do. We require it be in HTML once more, and that's for purposes of being put into the PDF and formatted correctly. All right, followed by an HR, which I'm not sure what an HR is. I think it's a page break. And then we're going to use an outer ordered list for our H2 headings. All right, so that's the heading 2 formatting. We're using an ordered list, which are should be numbered list. All right, and then we nest the order list for the H3 subsections. All right, and we're going to strip out any extra numbering in there. Sometimes the model will add extra, the reasoning models will add numbers, bullet points like section 1, the strengths of the company, number 1, strengths of the company, number 2. We don't need the extra numbering because we don't want it to be 1 section 1, number 1. Like, it just looks really weird doing it that way. So we just strip all that out. And then we go ahead and have explain what the formatting should look like. And we give it some chain of thought in order to understand what it's doing. So identify all the H2 and H3 headings. And we need to map the H2s to the chapters. And we nest the H3s under its corresponding H2s. All right, and so that's why it was important to make all the HTML formatting earlier so that this one is able to do its job. We're going to extract the text from the H3, and we're going to remove any leading numbers. We're going to maintain the original order, but clean up redundant formatting. Compose the structure using divisions, and then output to match the provided style. And if there's an H2 that has no H3s, then it's just going to eliminate any ordered list under it. It's just going to leave it as a bullet point. And then it needs to return it as styled HTML only. And again, never display numeric prefixes from H3. We don't need extra numbered bullet points. Don't include any raw markdown. Don't wrap H2s inside any lists if there are no subsections. And never guess or generate fake headings. It needs to only include the information that it's been getting. Don't modify section orders. Don't duplicate list numbers. And do not use CSS classes. We're including inline styles only the HTML structuring. Right? And so here we have an example, and it gives us this output, which is not meant to be read by humans, but it is able to be read by the machine. So again, that gets input into the spreadsheet, back into the SWOT analysis, company info input sheet, comes down here into our table of contents. And then what we do after that, we're going to grab the company name, and we grab the company name from the spreadsheet. We then create a title page. So all we need from the title page is the company name. And we just say, create me a nice little, here, I'll go ahead and expand this out so you can see it. You are an HTML component generator tasked with creating a minimal centered title page for a SWOT analysis report. It's only supposed to create the cover page. It needs to center the entire content block vertically and horizontally in the middle of the page. It's an H1, so it's as big a headline as it'll make. And it needs to be called SWOT analysis of the company. I have a second line below it. You can remove this. It just says that this workflow was made by Automate Business AI, which is my brand here. Feel free to remove that. And then all styling needs to be inline or embedded in style tags. Avoid page breaks. Avoid quotation marks. Don't include any extra HTML headings that we don't need, like the doc type, HTML head, or body tags. That'll all break it, all right? So make sure that's not in there. Don't include anything from the actual report. We don't need to include any extra these breaking marks. Never wrap it in markdown. Don't escape anything. We just the heading for the title page, just that, and HTML only. All right, so then that gets put into the, I should rename that, but it gets put into the spreadsheet as well. So SWOT analysis, company info input, and you come down here, boom, stylized title page. And then what it does is it pulls all of that information once more from the spreadsheet. It pulls everything from the spreadsheet now that it has the entire report, the title page, the introduction, all of the sections, and the conclusion. It pulls it all. It runs it through this code node here. This code node combines everything. So it does the title page, the table of contents, the introduction that was written, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats, and the conclusions, puts it all together, and then it puts it out in one big combined content item that we then are going to use this node here. What we're using here is called API template.io, and it's a free service. So let me go ahead and come up here, API template.io. All right, they give you something like 50 PDF reports per month. So use your free plan here. You get 50 PDF that you can print out per month. It's awesome, right? Like if you only need one SWOT analysis unless you're doing clients, which if you're trying to do this for clients, then they'll give you 50 a month that you can work with. Or if you just go higher, then you're never going to have to worry about running out. So this is really awesome to be able to use. And the credential was really easy to set up. You just sign up for their free plan, and then they give you the API. So I'm not going to go through that process. It was incredibly easy to set up. So what we do is we pull the company name in order to be able to create the file name. So we get the company name through that code node. It pulls it, it's right there. All right. So just JSON.company name. Then we add the PDF onto the back because that's what it needs to be. And then we come down here, and this is how it's actually going to generate that report. So here is what we're sending to API templates.io. You don't worry about any of this other information down here. Don't worry about the styling. Don't worry about any of that. Just understand that we're taking for the body all of the combined content that we ran through the code node, and then we're going to go ahead and strip out any extra formatting marks that don't need to be there, because we include any extra formatting marks, any extra quotes that are out of place, any extra slashes that are out of place, it'll break it. So that's why we have this dot replace that just go ahead and changes it so that we don't have to worry about breaking the report generation. So then we run that, and it puts out a report. It gives us our download URL, and it tells us how many pages it is. It tells us if it's successful. It's wonderful. So then we go ahead and download the PDF just using an HTTP node. We're just going to pull that download URL. That's all we're doing here. Don't need any authentication. Don't need any extra parameters or headers or body. Just downloading it. And here we see it as data. And then what we do to finish it off is we're going to go ahead and just email it to yourself or email it to the client. You can always set it up so that this spreadsheet here has an extra column for the client's email if you intend to send it to a client that you're doing this for. Just understand that if you do that, you are going to go ahead, you're going to have to update nearly every single one of these Google Sheets nodes just because they won't run right. If there's an extra column, it gets all hinky. Just understand that you will have to update them and include really you don't have to include the link to the email and anything else other than this last pull info, again, number 3 node. Just make sure that it gets the email that you would want in here, and then you would just put that in here. And so to grab that, you just come over to schema. You'd go down to probably the combine content, and then you'd grab it, the email, whichever column you put it in, and drop it in there. But for me, I'm just going to put it in my email. You can put it in your email to send it to you, and then you can always pass it on to the client. We're going to have a subject line, SWOT analysis of the company name. We're going to do an email type of text. We're doing an email type of text because we don't need any fancy HTML. If you want to make fancy HTML for this, go right ahead. But I just have something simple. The SWOT analysis for company name is complete. You can find it attached below. All right, and if we come back to my email real quick, you'll see there's that SWOT analysis, pulse track health. This was all template. It was a sample data, so it's not a real company. Don't worry about me giving away somebody's info. And there's the report, pulse track _health.pdf. We open it up, and it's exactly like we were expecting. So we have a full page, title page, H1 header. It's made, here's that subheading that you can remove. And so we see our table of contents. There's our strengths, our weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and our conclusion. Our table of contents, here's our introduction, which is called SWOT analysis. We come down, it's nicely laid out. So we have our SWOT analysis, introduction, so a nice paragraph. All right, strengths, we have an introduction for our strengths section. Number 1, there's an explanation of it. Number 2, an explanation of it. And you see it's bolded here. It really pointed things out. We have some numbers, wonderful. So it produces absolutely beautiful reports. So here's our synthesis of our strength section, the self-reinforcing care delivery architecture. And so it gives us everything we were looking for. exactly the way we wanted it. Usable for yourself, for your company. It's usable for you and your clients. It is honestly a great way to not have to buy or use a business consultant because, hey, these models are so smart nowadays. They are, I saw that the O3 model, I think it was the O3 model, has like 136 IQ, which is higher than 99% of humans. The 4.1 mini model, I think, did like a 105 IQ, which is better than most humans. And so this is pretty good. This is a pretty awesome SWOT analysis generator. I've seen a few examples of it. I've run a few clients through it. It generates really good reports. And for my clients, they get these reports from me and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. This is exactly what we were looking for every single time. The only thing I would point out, and there is a small issue, I'm not sure why it's doing it, but here in this very first AI agent node, do be aware, because sometimes when it runs, and it's only maybe like 1 out of 5 times, which is high, but I don't know why it's doing it. It won't output all of the different sections, and it'll only do strengths, and I don't know why it's doing that. So here you see it has strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, but sometimes it'll only do threats or strengths. It won't include all the other 3. So just make sure that when you are looking at the report, maybe after it generates it, you come in here and just double check really quick. Make sure it actually output everything it was supposed to output, because it will still go through and it will try to write something over here in these sections. It will try to write a weaknesses, opportunities, and threats sections, just because that's what the models are programmed to do. They're not supposed to not give you what you ask for. And so it'll make stuff up, unfortunately. So that's the only hiccup that I've seen in this so far. If you can help me find a solution for it, I'd appreciate it. And you can do that either in the comments to the video here, or you can do that in my free school community. So as you can see, the SWOT analysis generator allows you to identify what you need to improve in your business and what you can scale off of with ease. Or if you're a business coach or consultant, you can use this as an extra tool in your quiver when working with your own clients in order to provide even more value to them. And when paired with the marketing plan generator found in my free school community, you can take your business to the next level or even build an entirely new business from scratch using these free tools. And if you found this video helpful, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like and share the video, because it really does help get this content out there to the people who need it. Also, make sure to click the link in the description below in order to download today's workflow for free from my free school community. As always, I'm Bradford Carlton. Let's automate your success together. I'll see you inside.